Yo, yo, yo. Peace. So this is just a little microphone check. For those who didn't hear, my phone was ran over by a pickup truck. Somehow it's still barely alive. It hasn't fully transcended. So I got a microphone because I needed it for work anyway. And right now, I'm about 50, maybe 25 feet away from my phone, 30. And I'm just testing this to see how clean the audio is without noise cancellation, outside in the wind, all that kind of stuff. So typically I'll hop on here and I got like a topic that I want to dig into. This time not so much. It's more of a microphone test. Let's test the mute function. Solid. So if you're popping in the chat, peace. I can't see you. I'm about 30, 40 feet away from my phone. Let's see, what can I talk about today? It's 2026. It's a new year. Those three airplanes are moving very strange. That's odd. This is the year to get it done. Some will say this is the end, some say this is a new beginning, but this is the year, nonetheless, that all of the excuses that you carried with you, all of the burdens you carried on your back, all that shit, you gotta let it go. All of the obstacles that you allowed to stop you from crossing over that milestone to your objective, all of it, you just gotta just drop that shit off. Run straight through it and get it done. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't been spending a significant amount of time in the content creation space or going live or anything like that because I've been building something that's very, very, very important to me. If you can hear me in the chat, feel free to drop a message. Let me know you can hear me, or if I'm talking to air. I'll know after I'm done with this live either way. So yeah, I'm building something very big, something very audacious, and something very important. And this is, if I could talk about anything today, I would say this is kind of the thing that I would encourage everyone to try at least once in their life. Because a lot of people, they just walk through life sleepwalking. A lot of people walk through life just carrying what ifs all the time and never actually challenging those what ifs or actually trying to put it to the test to be able to know what that what if is or what's on the other side of that what if. No, it's the end of all that. This is your opportunity, this moment right now, to decide what you want to do. Make a plan, a simple plan, simple steps on how you might achieve that, and then just start walking in that direction and just start doing it a brick by brick, putting it together, step by step, getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer, and taking the ideas that pop in your mind as you do it, holding those up to the light and maybe testing those, and just keep walking another step forward, another step forward, another step forward, another step forward. And, you know, in 2 weeks, maybe take a breath, look back and see how far you've gone. You'll be surprised. All right, I've had that. I find that feeling all the time. I'll give an example. So something that I'm building for my business is something that's very multifaceted. It's a solution that a lot of, let's say, people and companies and such things need. right? But along the way to build this thing, because it's such a it's almost like a multi-dimensional thing in a sense. I'm not inventing a time machine, but I'm saying it's something that covers a lot of different facets, a lot of different angles. And it's something that I've noticed as I've kind of been doing my research in the market, and no one is actually trying to do. If it is, then it's maybe like very large teams, like hundreds of people are coming together to do it, or is, people that are kind of cutting corners. No, I'm trying to make it actually something that's of massive quality and impact and scale. So along the way to developing this thing that I'm developing, I I look back and I realized that I just kind of as steps to get closer to that thing, I had built 4 different proprietary softwares that didn't exist before, that I didn't have, just because it solved my problem of getting to that next step of it. And then I look at this and I'm like, damn, this by itself is very valuable. I could probably sell this for thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. But I wasn't really thinking about that, right? Because I was just really thinking about how to make the thing work, how to make this overarching plan that I have, this design, how to bring this design to life, how to make these schematics come to fruition. So I wasn't even really thinking about these little components, but these little components really aren't that little. That's how it goes oftentimes in life. You think the thing that you're doing or the actions that you're taking aren't really effective. And I'm looking like 15 feet away. I see some of y'all typing in the chat. I can't see what's going on. I'm not over there yet. But that you think that thing that you're doing is not really effective and it's not really, anything significant. But you'll look back at it in hindsight and be like, damn, like I really did that with my own hands. Like I really had this idea pop in my mind. I put it together. I, maybe held it up to the sun and said, here, universe. And people would look at it and they're like, whoa, that's fucking amazing. Like all these things. So you never know what you could actually accomplish, even like just along the way of you going after a certain goal. Let me see if y'all can hear me in the chat. What's your business? Okay, so you can hear me. Cool. What's my business? I have about 5 businesses. I just registered another one today. I have a media production and marketing company. I have a company where we develop software. Obviously, I have this, a rep brand, which is a company in itself. It has its own business entities and whatnot. And I had another marketing agency that I used to run back in the day. And I have this new one that I won't disclose right now because, like I said, I just registered it today. So I'm kind of keeping it under wraps. So yeah, like even me saying this, it kind of sounds wild because I remember when I first decided in 2020 when everything got shut down and everybody got furloughed and a lot of people just straight out got fired. I was fortunate to be furloughed and, the company was prestigious enough and well prepared enough that they were able to, basically send all the employees off with a nice little package, to kind of be prepared or whatever. I decided then, because I was already like 1 foot in, 1 foot out from 9 to 5s, I decided I wouldn't work for anyone anymore because I didn't want to put myself or put my family in that position to where I'm at the mercy of some dude's whim, like some dude that's sitting in an office or some lady that are sitting in the office and they're like, yeah, we got to let people go. No, I'm not having that shit. Not doing it anymore. So ever since I decided back then to go into business for myself, and then shortly thereafter found my first company and just started putting myself out there and getting to work and finding finding clientele and, arranging deals and setting up protocols and hiring employees and all these kind of things. Ever since I started that, me back then, looking at what I have in my hands right now, it would be flabbergasted. He wouldn't even understand the scale or gravity of what I have. But me looking at it right now, it's kind of like it's nothing because it's not enough, because I know where I can go. I know what I'm capable of. I know how much more I'm capable of than what I have in my hands. And I think that's kind of like the trick. Like you hear sometimes of people, and you hear sometimes of people who, they get wealthy, and maybe they hit the lottery or something like that. And let's say they win like $10 million, and they go out and they buy the nice house and they buy the car, and then they give all this money to this family member and this one or that one, and before you know it, within like a year, they're broke again. And they're wondering why, and it's because they didn't fix anything on the inside, right? They didn't fix their mindset about how they're approaching their life or how they perceive wealth or anything like that. And it's the same for, like say, those people who have, maybe they've been rich all their life, they're trust fund babies or something like that, or maybe they, they worked their way up, but they weren't necessarily coming from a place of like being destitute or impoverished or anything like that. Maybe they weren't in poverty before, so they worked their way up from like a already comfortable suburban background where their parents were well off and stuff like that, and they just kind of followed along the path that was laid for them. If they find their way to riches, oftentimes these people will find themselves very depressed and sad too, because they'll realize that their life is vapid. So they may be walking around a big mansion that's bigger than their old suburban home was, and they got all these rooms and all these fancy cars in their garage and stuff like that, and it feels cool to them for like a week. And I have let's say very rich or wealthy friends, associates, etc., colleagues, and they all kind of say different versions of this, or they know a guy that's like this, to where like the first week when they buy that new mansion and they move in, it's awesome. Like they love it. They're in love with it. They're enjoying them new space they have, all that kind of stuff. After that first week, everything just becomes normal, and they're kind of like tired of it already. They kind of want the next thing. This is the way that the mind. Damn, that's really squeaky. All right, so let me test the noise isolation. Yeah. Okay, so that truck's that truck was fucked up. I don't know what was wrong with that thing. All right. So that was a good test for the noise isolator on my mic. So yeah, this is what oftentimes these people will deal with, and that's the way that the mind works, really, right? Like we see a thing, we want a thing, we get that thing, we get tired of that thing, we want the next thing. That's the whole reason why like consumerism and capitalism and stuff like that work, because it's really just kind of exploiting, I guess you could say, like the lower end of human nature, kind of like that animalistic desire or what have you. So yeah, anyway, this was really just a little test. What are we on, like 13 minutes? I need to go ahead and close this live out. But this is really just kind of a little test to see if my microphone works. If you're wondering why you can't see me, it's because my front camera is busted. Got ran over by a truck. I'll tell that story a little bit later. If you like cool music, or just little talks like this, talking about life and the things that can be reached for in life, make sure you subscribe. Mileage album is coming out soon. Oh, another thing I'll go ahead and say, since I know my audio's working on here. So currently in a dispute with one of my music distributors. So they attempted to pull all of my albums and all my catalog, my music catalog, off of all the streaming services. It looks like as of now, Apple Music still has my whole catalog available. And I also have it available on my website, samuraiblackmusic.com. Link is in the description or on my channel. So you can feel free to listen on Apple Music, or you can, if you want to support directly, and then you can pay whatever amount that you want and buy all my albums, my songs, all that kind of stuff. We got merch, all that stuff on the website. So yeah, I'll give a little bit more info on that a little bit later. I am in the early stages of litigation, so they are getting their asses sued. But we'll have this resolved swiftly in a jiffy. It kind of knocked back my album rollout timing for the Mileage album, but it is still on the way. And we're gonna get that resolved soon. And even if I just have to give it to the people, I'll have it on my website. And as with all my other albums as well, I'm gonna be uploading those onto YouTube as well. So if I decide to go about it that route, then I'll probably release app Mileage on here for free as well. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed.